This is day 25 of Israel's war on Hamas terror, and major developments are taking place at various levels. The Israeli forces have established a firm base inside the Gaza Strip. Israeli forces are pounding Hamas strongholds. Several top Hamas military commanders have been targeted by the Israeli Defense Forces, both from air and from ground. Now it's no longer just fighter jets and 155mm howitzers, but Israeli tanks, the Markava main battle tanks, the armored personnel carriers and ground forces are inside the Gaza Strip. They've established a firm base and they're advancing, targeting the tunnel network. But that's just one part of the story. Even as Israel pounds the Gaza Strip, Israeli intelligence officials are in touch with their counterparts in Qatar. In fact, Mossad head honchos have traveled to Qatar. They are interacting for the release of hostages, talks of possible hostage release, humanitarian aid in return for hostages is the conversation. And I quickly want to cut across. I want to bring in India Today's Shiv Arur, who joins us from Ground Zero in southern Israel, very close to the Gaza Strip. Shiv, take it away. It's a day of major developments in Israel.
5 days of ground operations so far and no end in sight. The interesting thing is the intensity of the ground strikes are not increasing. They're staying static, suggesting that this is going to be, like the Israeli defense minister said, a long and hard battle inside the Gaza Strip.
Israel continued with its offensive on day 4. Its forces attacked Hamas gunmen inside the Islamists' vast tunnel network beneath Gaza. The tunnels are a key objective for Israel as it expands ground operations inside Gaza to wipe out the ruling Hamas movement.
There have been 300 airstrikes since last night, and we're told that more airstrikes are going to happen. We're being buzzed. Urban conglomeration city is, of course, Gaza City, and that's where much of the bombing is taking place right now. Viable anti-tank and anti-armored vehicle positions continue to remain in that particular area, and that's one of the reasons why the momentum of the ground operation remains far lower than it usually is.
Gazans are using donkey-drawn carts to move shrouded bodies, casualties of Israel's ground invasion on the Strip. Doctors are now performing surgeries in the hallway after hospitals were damaged in the shelling. Israel, on the other hand, celebrated the release secured by its security forces of one Hamas captive, Private Ori Megiddish.
Last night, our forces freed Private Ori from Hamas captivity. Ori was kidnapped on the black morning of October 7th. Welcome home, Ori. I congratulate the Shin Bet and the Israeli army for this important achievement. An achievement that expresses our commitment to the release of all the abductees. The entire nation of Israel salutes the Shin Bet and Israeli army, and to the terrorists of Hamas and ISIS, I say, you are monsters. We will continue to pursue you. We will continue to hunt you down. We will cripple you until you fall on our feet.
Though Israel did not reveal details on the circumstances of Private Ori's release, it said she had since undergone medical checks and was doing well.
Over 220 hostages continue to be in captivity with the Hamas in this part of of this geography. The Gaza Strip is a large place. It's a big place to hide 220 hostages. Remember, the Hamas has been talking about how the airstrikes may have killed tens of these hostages already, but this may be psychological warfare. There is no proof of this yet. There's no evidence of this yet.
On the other hand, Hamas released a video on Monday that showed 3 hostages seized by the Islamist movement addressing an angry message to the Prime Minister Netanyahu. Prime Minister Netanyahu condemned the video and called it cruel psychological propaganda. In his statement, he said, "We are hugging the families. We will do everything to return all the kidnapped and missing people home." He also named hostages as Elena Trupanov, Daniel Aloni and Rimon Kirsht and said, "I hug you." Only one of the hostages addressed the camera throughout the clip. Gaza health authorities claim that more than 8,000 people, including 3,457 minors, have been killed in Israeli attacks since October 7th. UN officials say more than 1.4 million of Gaza's civilian population of about 2.3 million have been made homeless. The war that started following Hamas' gun rampage 3 weeks ago has taken the ugly look of human catastrophe. Despite repeated appeals from the international community, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu dismissed calls for a halt to fighting to ease the Palestinian enclave's humanitarian crisis.